Hello, good morning to you all. So today we are live again with a new topic, which is Introduction to SQL Injection. So let's start. So today's topic is Introduction to SQL Injection, and I am Somdeb Chakraborty from Indian School of Ethical Hacking. So before starting SQL injection, we must know that what is database and what is the importance of database, right? Because in SQL injection we are going to exploit databases. So what is database? A database is an organized collection of data. Instead of having all the data in a list with a random order, a database provides a structure to organize the data. So basically, what is database? Suppose in an office there are lots of files about lots of things stored um, in a room or in a desk or in a locker. So whenever someone needs some data about something, they just open the locker and find the data and they can access the data, and with that data they can process the task. Okay, so database is nothing but collection of different datas about different topics, right? So one of the most common data structure is a database table. So in computer database there are tables. Tables means different genre, different topic. Okay, a database table consists of rows and columns. So in database table there are rows and columns. So suppose there is a student database, and in the table there is student details like name, class, roll number, their subjects. Okay, so these are called attributes. So in these attributes like name, class, we put the names of the students. In class part we put the which class the students belongs to. Okay, so a database table is also called a two-dimensional array. So it is like actually a two-dimensional array. It has, because it has rows and columns. So an array is like a list of values, and each value is identified by a specific index. A two-dimensional array uses two indices which correspond to the rows and columns of a table. So a database must look like this. Suppose a database table, let's say just in an Excel sheet, I'm going to create a similar thing which you can see in database table, like ID, name, suppose contact details of, and address. Suppose the student ID is 001 and the name of the student is suppose ABC, and the contact number is something, and the address is okay. Maybe I have selected this thing. So just put the name here, contact here, and address here, and ID here. So if the ID is 1, suppose the name is something, and the contact details is something, and the address is something. Okay, again we can put details of another student. Okay, so in a database table we can find details about lots of students or employees or anything. Okay, so we can put anything over here. So this is how a database table looks like. Suppose there is another table called ID, name, marks obtained by the student, grade obtained by the student. Okay, so again I'm putting the same thing. Suppose DHG again, and the marks I obtained is 90% and the grade is suppose AA. And again 2. I'm talking about the same student here, but a different table, which is result table, and this is the contact table. Suppose so in here, suppose he has obtained 69% and the grade is B. So now there are similar lots of tables in the database we can find. Okay, so now how can we merge these two tables to collect the information about one student, and we can print all of his details like contact, address, his marks and grade. So this ID here, because there can be students with similar names in a class. Okay, so how can we differentiate them? So we need a primary key to connect those databases, so which is ID, because everyone has their own unique ID number, right? So these ID numbers are unique. So we with these ID numbers we can easily connect these two databases. So these IDs are called primary key. So this is how database works. So with this primary key we can get the details of a student, complete details of a student. Okay, so just leave it over here. So now what is the structure of database? In database terminology, each row is called a record. A record is also called an object or an entity. In other words, a database table is a collection of records. Just I have shown you that the records in a table are the objects you are interested in, such as the books in a library catalog or the customers in sales database. A field corresponds to a column in the table and represents a single value for each record. A field is called an attribute. So these fields are called attributes, and in these attributes we put single individual data, right? Okay. In other words, a record is a collection of related attributes that make up a single database entry. Okay, so this is the structure of the database and what is database, a basic concept of database. Okay, so now let's start with SQL injection. So before that you have to understand that how a website or how where database is placed. Okay, so what is the structure basically? So if I go over here, let me draw something for you. Okay, suppose this is a computer and here we can see a web page of google.com. Okay, so I cannot just draw alphabets over here, so sorry for that. Okay, suppose we are viewing google.com in our browser. So this is the website, so this is the front end part of the company, right? That google.com, and in the background there is a server which holds all the details of this Google, and in this server there is a database holding lots of tables about lots of things, lots of different tables. Okay, all connected with primary keys or foreign keys with each other. Okay, so database is the backend part of a website which holds all the details of the website. Suppose we are logging into the website, login into a website, we are signing up, and every record is stored in this database. So what if someone hack this database? The hacker can easily get all the details, all the login IDs, password, the details about the websites, all about something about the subdomains, all the admin level password and username, everything. Okay, so a hacker will easily get that if the hacker successfully compromises this database. Okay, so in order to compromise this database, there are lots of process, and SQL injection is the most used technique in the world right now to compromise a database. So no matter which language they're using, like PHP, Node.js, okay, but SQL injection, with SQL injection they can crack databases. Not that easy part, but it is quite possible. So what is SQL injection? SQL injection is a web security vulnerability that allows an attacker to interfere with the queries that an application makes to its databases. It generally allows an attacker to view data that they are not normally able to retrieve. So suppose there is a website and we are signing in for into that website. Suppose there is a website of Facebook. So obviously Facebook database is not that much vulnerable to hack. Okay, but just suppose there is Facebook database. So in Facebook database, what a hacker can find? An attacker can find, if he is able to compromise the database, he can find all the usernames, all the passwords, all the details about the user. Okay, so this is very risky. So obviously Facebook uses some security, but there are lots of websites out there which holds all these important things, but doesn't provide that much security. Okay. So how SQL injection works? So SQL injection is nothing but with this help of SQL injection, an attacker manipulates the query of SQL database, which is basically used by the developers, but they manipulate the query and retrieve the data from the databases. Okay, so it generally allows an attacker to view the data that they are not normally able to retrieve. Okay, this might include data belonging to other users or any other data that the application itself is able to access. Okay, in many cases an attacker can modify or delete this data. Okay, so not only an attacker is able to see the data, he can also modify or delete this data, causing persistent changes to the application's content or behavior. Okay. So in some situations, an attacker can escalate an SQL injection attack to compromise the underlying server or other backend infrastructure or perform a denial of service attack. So in some situations, an attacker can escalate an SQL injection attack to compromise the underlying server. So what is this? So in some situations, actually, if SQL injection is possible, if attacker finds that the website or the server or the database is SQL injection vulnerable, then they attack with SQL injection, or sometimes they attack the database with denial of service attack. So they just put so many false requests to the server, and the server goes down. Okay, because server cannot reply so many requests at the same time. Okay, so many means I am talking about here, there are too many requests, okay, to reply. Okay, so now coming with types of SQL injection. So as you can see, SQL injection has two types, basically error based and blind based. And blind based comes with boolean based and time based, and there is another one called union based. So there are 2-3 types of SQL injection over here. So let's talk about this types of databases. Okay, so let's talk about error based SQL injection. So what is error based SQL injection? Where the attacker sends some malicious query to the database which results in errors. The errors should be very generic, otherwise they may give useful hints to the attacker. Okay, so now how does it work? Okay, so as you can see that the attacker sends a malicious query to database which results in errors. Okay, so comment line would be using comment line to cause the database to ignore a part of valid query. So what happens? For example, select star from stores where product ID is equals to blah or 1 equals to 1. Okay, so what happens over here? Suppose there is an input field, suppose login or password. I'm going to show this to you practically also, but before that we are just a little bit time we are talking let's just talk about the theory part. Okay, so what happens over here? In database there are queries. Okay, for insert there are queries, for inserting data there are queries, for deleting data there are queries, for altering the data there are queries. Okay, so the query looks like this. Suppose I want to retrieve some name, student name and roll number from the database. So I'm going to put the query like select star from I'm going to put the table name over there. Select, suppose the table name is student data, student. So select star from student where roll number ID equals to 1. So what happens with this queries? Let me write the query for you. Not here, obviously I cannot write over here. So select star from table name, suppose table name is student, where, so I'm going to put the where clause here, where ID equals to 1. Suppose this is the query. So what happens then? It will select everything from the table student where the ID equals to 1. It will retrieve everything, name, contact, address, and if the primary key is connected, then the marks and grade. So it will retrieve everything and show it will show me the total details of ID 1, student ID 1. Okay, so this is how database queries works. So why this works? Because this generates a true statement, because there is a table name student obviously, and there is an ID equals to 1. These all statements are true. So it will generate a true query and it will retrieve the data. So what happens now? Hackers try to manipulate this query to get into username and password. So what they put, something, anything, or 1 equals to 1. So what happens over here? In the username, if I put anything and there is a logical OR, which is, we know that in logical OR, if any of the queries are true, then it will return true. So what happens? I'm putting anything over here, or 1 equals to 1. So 1 equals to 1 is always true, right? 1 equals to 1 is always true. So it will ignore this anything and it will go with 1 equals to 1 is true, that means true. So it will generate the true query and done. So there are a lot of strings which always evaluates to be true, like 1 equals to 1, a equals to a, etc. Anything we can put like blah or x equals to x. Okay, so using them in the query to create constantly true conditions. So example, select star from user where username equals to blah or a equals to a and password equals to pass. Okay, this will generate true query. So I'm going to show this to you practically. Let's see. Okay. Uh, so first of all, how to find a SQL injection vulnerable database or a website. Okay, because it is not you just cannot see that is written over in a website that this website is SQL injection vulnerable. Okay, that is not the case obviously. So there are some techniques to find out, and to not in every website or every web page we can put this. So to do this SQL injection, okay, we need something which is called login page, right? So to find the admin login page, there are lots of Google Docs out there. So let me show you what is Google Docs. So you can just find over here that Google Docs for SQL injection. You can just search on Google and you can find there are lots of Google Docs out there. Okay, so these are called Google Docs. This is the part of Google Advanced Search. Okay, so what happens, just copy this thing, open google.com. This is how you can find an admin login page or user login page. Okay, so just put over here, just I'm going to put the ID here, so I can find there are lots of websites are there. So suppose this website, so how can I find that a website is SQL injection vulnerable? So just put an apostrophe over here, okay, a single inverted comma in the address bar, and just hit enter. So it is showing you have an error in SQL syntax. So if it is showing that you have an error showing SQL syntax or anything related to SQL error, okay, so that means this website is vulnerable to SQL injection. But that doesn't mean that we can just attack it and we can compromise it. But yeah, this is vulnerable. Okay, so we just can try to hack it. So there are lots of websites you can find, and lots of websites are not vulnerable. So we have found that this website is vulnerable, and just also there is another one. Okay, so this is how with the help of docs we can easily found which websites are SQL vulnerable or not. Suppose again, okay, 2 out of 2. Usually it takes time to find vulnerable websites. So suppose this one, this Embryo Hotel Pattaya. Okay, again another one, SQL error. So there are lots of websites, you can see that SQL error. So what we can do, we can, if we hack into this database, we can just find their guest list, their expenses list, and everything we can find in that database. We can get the contact details of all the guests. Okay, so this is how dangerous a database is if the database is not configured properly. Okay, so so let's see. So I'm not going to hack into any Indian databases or any other countries with good relations to India. So I'm going to use our beloved brothers websites. which is Pakistan's website. So in order to search Pakistan websites, I have some query written over here. um, let's see. I'm going to open, and obviously performing and web application hacking or something like that with your base OS is not a good idea. You need obviously you need proxies, you need VPNs to hack something, to try to attack a live website. Okay, so you need some actual tools. So I'm going to use my Kali Linux setup here because this is much more secure than my base Ubuntu over here, and I have installed VPN in it and everything. Okay, so what is this underneath? I don't need this. So I'm starting my Kali over here. Okay, is okay. It is not full screen right now, so let me increase the resolution over here. Okay, so it looks good now. So I have some docs, because you know that there are lots of docs I have shown you right now. Here there are lots of things, so I'm going to use this is one of my favorite docs over here. To these all are docs for Pakistan websites. You just put pk.pk over here because .pk is Pakistani website extension and all. So not going to do any harm to that website. We're just showing you this for educational purposes. Please, if you try this, do it in a safe environment and don't just alter anything. I'm just doing this to avoid any legal consequences. So let's see. So I'm going to put this over here, or let it wait. I'm going to open google.com over here because docs only works for google.com. You cannot use docs in any other search engines, like there is another search engine called DuckDuckGo. So I'm going to try these docs on both of the search engines and let's see why it is called Google Docs basically. So I'm going to search over here and I'm going to search this with here. So it just shows, but I don't think there are only just login.php pages, but I need PHP IDs. Okay, so here you can see lots of websites are there. Okay, these all are Pakistan websites. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to perform an error based SQL injection out here. So just let's open with some websites. So in here I'm going to write that query which I was talking about, that anything I can put equals to 1. So let's say if it works or not. Let's try to log in. So it says wrong username, credential and password. So I'm going to change this query to X. So I'm going to copy this and paste this in the password field too. Let's try to log in. Okay, so I've successfully logged in the Techno Traders. I don't know what kind of website is this, but I'm into the admin panel, so I can see any sales history and everything over here. But okay, I don't want to reveal this, so just I'm going to close it over here. Okay, so now there comes National Library of Physical Sciences. So what I have done here, so I have written X, and in the single inverted commas type OR and close it, and again type X, again in the single inverted commas type equals to, and then type X again. Okay, so this OR and equals to sign is in this inverted commas. So I'm going to put this query something or X equals to X. So obviously X equals to X is true, X equals to X, X does not, X is not equal to Y, right? So I'm going to paste this query over here, and let's try once more. So again I'm in. So very simply, I don't know the password, I don't know anything, I don't know the username, but I manipulated the database query over here, and I am into National Library of Physical Sciences, so kind of like government website, so I'm not going to mess it around. So just okay, so this is how with this thing you can easily find there are lots of things. So you can put countries domain name over here, .in for India, .pk for Pakistan. There are lots of countries, so you can find vulnerable websites for any other countries. Okay, so this is one thing. So this is how we can we are not brute forcing the password, we are not we have not hacked the database and collected the password. What I've done, I have just manipulated the exact query of database. So how does this query looks like? So this query is like, suppose let me write over here, not here. Okay, so this query looks like select star from student, suppose this is the table name, where username equals to ABCD and password equals to suppose pass. So this is the actual query. Suppose the username is ABCD and the password, so I have manipulated it, so it will return a true condition. So I have manipulated this thing with select star from student where username is equals to 1 or 1 equals to 1. So I am returning a true statement over here, and password equals to again 1 or 1 equals to 1. So what will be the output? Obviously true in both the cases. So this is how I have manipulated the query. Okay, So you can try in various websites. Okay, find your own websites like that and everything you can try. So now this is the smaller part. Okay, now let's get to the bigger one, that compromising a database and collecting information from the database. Okay, let's see. So I've already done that. Again, I'm going to open that google.com over here. So before that, I need to explain that there are several others, like error based, you understand now, and then there is union based. So what happened in union based? In the URL we can put these things, union select one, and we need to find the database number and table number, and to find the version of the database or table name, we can use this in the URL part. Okay, so also this is like using union command in SQL query to execute additional queries, thereby modifying, inserting, deleting or dropping the contents of the table. So this is also an important query. I'll show you in the next part. Okay, and then there is blind SQL injection, which is, this is the type of SQL injection where we don't have a clue as to whether the web application is vulnerable to injection or attack or not. So we don't know that the web application or the website is vulnerable to attack or not. Okay, but still we try to attack it blindly. Like there are two types. One is boolean, only correct queries show the result, wrong queries do not return anything. So this is blind, so we attack. If the query is right, then we can see the result. If the query is not right, we don't see anything. Okay, so attackers should try to generate logically correct queries. If suppose the original query to database is select star from users where id equals to id.text. Suppose this is the original query. So if we give blah something and 1 equals to 1 as input, which evaluates to be right query, select star from users where id equals to this, we'll see the user result. If we give this and 1 equals to 2 as input, which is a wrong query because 1 is not equals to 2, but still we have given that 1 equals to 2, this is the wrong query, then we don't see any results. So this query would look like this and it will return no result. Okay, and then there is another one that is called time delay. So depending on some condition, setting a time delay, if that condition is satisfied, we can observe the time delay, thereby concluding that the input we gave produced a positive result. This is a time consuming process. Okay, so just go to the next part. So these are the types of different types of SQL injections. So which one is good for us? Error based is, I have shown you. Then you can also go for blind based and union based. This is the one of the most important attacks in SQL injection. Okay, so now let's go to Google Docs. I have already shown you. Okay, so let's get into another one. So as I've told you earlier that I have many Google Docs already set it up for Pakistani websites. So let's just, what happens, I don't know what is happening, I cannot select it properly, so just Control C, let's see. Okay, so let's just put this query over here. So there are lots of websites are there. So let me open the first website. So I'm going to check whether this website is vulnerable or not. Okay, sometimes it takes, okay, let it okay, so the website is open. This is the season holidays. I don't know, is this the Pakistani website? Okay, maybe the tour and travels. Okay, let's just put an apostrophe over here and hit enter and wait. As you can see, there are no changes in this website. Okay, no SQL error has been shown, so this website is not vulnerable. Okay, let's just close it. Okay, go to another one. Just put it over here. So let me see if there is any website. So no database errors over here. Okay, let's go to another one. Let's try a different thing. Okay, what is happening? I don't know. I cannot just select it over here. Let's just press OK. I don't know why is this happening. Control C. So let's search some websites simultaneously. If we can find something, let's see. Let's go for the Google search. Plus 92 is Pakistani, you know that. So I'm going to open another one. So this is not also vulnerable. So I'm going to try to. So I'm keep trying. Okay. So there's a website with some SQL errors. So let's just copy it. Okay. Now I can go to my terminal and start SQL map over here. Right. So this is how SQL map tool looks like. So I'm going to write the command SQL map minus. You can go for it. So there are lots of, in the help part you can see there are lots of things. So I'm going to use URL part because I'm going to enter the URL over here. So SQL map minus u, and in the quotation I'm going to paste the website address and hit enter. Let's see. So it is now testing the connection of the target URL. So it says checking if the target is protected by any web application firewall IPS. If it does, then it will be risky for us to. Okay. So it is going to take some time. Just in the meantime, just try to find other websites. Okay, it says it looks like the backend DBMS is MySQL. So it has found the backend DBMS is MySQL. That is a good news for us because we are going to perform SQL injection. So do you want to skip test payload? Okay, let's just say yes and yes. Let's see. So it is going to find that boolean based blind. Okay, so it is applying boolean based blind SQL injection. So SQL map basically is what it tries all the types of SQL injection in that website and try to find if there is any vulnerability or not. So let's just quit now. I'm going to type the same command again and type -1 sdbs. So if there is any databases in this website, it will collect. Let's see if we are lucky or not. So it says yes or no. I said again yes and yes. Let's see. So it is now it is trying with the boolean based blind SQL injection and okay, as you can see there are lots of websites are there. Suppose in this website I'm going to put this. Okay, maybe not. Let's see. Okay, as you can see this is also trying error based SQL injection. Then it will also try the union based one. Hmm. So now it is applying time based comparison. Okay. Let's find another Indian websites also. Google Docs. Okay, hopefully it will collect some database information. Let's see. So now let's try again with some Indian websites or any global websites. Okay, so let's just type something over here. So it says it is having trouble. Okay, I think the stream was stopped for a bit. I think my net was a bit slow. I hope we are back online again. So where were I? So let's say so it says the server not found, and let's so I think my web page is working properly with everything. Let's just check one more time. Yeah, I think it is working correctly. So there is another website, I think. Let's try this. So also there is SQL error we can find. Also let's just copy it. Okay, it is now again searching and searching and searching. It is taking a quite a bit of time, so let's go with another one. So SQL map minus u in the quotation. So let's find if there is any databases or not. Okay, so this is the quick one. So I find another one. So I think I need to close the earlier one. It is taking a lot of time. You know, it takes sometimes it takes time whenever it is using time-based blind SQL injection, because I mentioned earlier that time-based is going to take lots of time. So in this website I have put minus minus dbs, and there are lots of databases I can see. So the information schema part, you can find it in every database. Okay, so that is not important. So this is the database names. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to repeat the command, but with now I'm going to find the tables. Hyphen D, I'm going to put hyphen D over here, and let's take any database name. Suppose I want to see that what are the tables in this database. So just hit enter, and so there are 3 tables I can see, that a project and objects and visits. I don't know what it is all about. So just I want to see that what are the contents in this table. So I'm just going to put columns and hyphen T for tables. I want to see what is this. I just don't understand this, so I'm going to put this. So in union query it has returned the payload, that if we add this after the URL, it will show the same result to you. So there are no columns over here, so just let's not waste time. So there were another tables, I think, called objects. Okay, let's write objects. Let's see what in this objects. And okay, so in objects I can see lots of columns are there. Okay, these are the data types, because date is like variable and character included, tiny int, variable character. This is the text type. Okay, so there are lots of things. So I want to do what? I want to dump the whole database over here. So what I'm going to do, I want to dump. So I have add double hyphen and dump. Let's see. So it has dumped the total database over here. You can see something Brazil, Rio de Janeiro. Okay, I need to understand what kind of website is this. So okay, so the whole database is open to us right now. Okay, so I don't know if it is right now, if it is useful for us or not, because I just went behind random searches. So okay, let's see another databases. There are lots of databases there's database called this one. Okay, let's go to this database. Also you can see that the dump you can find in root SQL map output this dot csv. So let's just find in a proper manner. Let's go to root. I think, but the dot SQL map file is not here, so show hidden files. So you can find there are lots of now dot SQL map output and dump. So which database? Suppose this one, objects.csv. So this is the database. I now have the total database over here. I don't know what language is this, but I think I don't know. Okay, this is not English properly, so let's say okay. So this is how you can dump all the details of a database over here. So I have some other databases dumps, I think, like I don't know if this is a dump or not. Okay, I don't want to show you right now because that was an important website, sorry. Okay, so this is how you can use SQL map, to dump a database, like and you can use error based SQL injection also to get into username and password field. So there are lots of things, I mean there are lots of Google Docs you can search over and over again. Okay, so I'm going to just explain it to you one last time, that type SQL map -u for URL, and in the quotation put the name. So also you can see that after this is a payload, there is a payload it generated, that after this 139 you can put this thing. Let's try also. I don't know if it is going to work or not, I'm just trying. Request info about this panel. Okay, so we have these fields. So also we can find this field in this database, I guess, but which one? There are lots of databases over here. Suppose I'm going to crack the part 2 over here. I don't want to dump, I just want to see if there is anything related to that table. Oh, sorry. Tables -d. Almost the same thing. Now there is another one. So I think we can find something if we keep searching. Okay, so now there is users. Okay, something to cheer about. Okay, so let's find columns. Oh shit. Okay, I didn't copy it. Okay, so now let's just copy it and paste it over here, and let's find the columns in this user table. Okay, password. So you can see the name and password over here. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to dump it. Let's just dump. Okay, so this is the email. this is the password over here. So this is how you can, gather. You have to keep search. You have to keep searching, right, to gather this kind of thing, because in every website you can find there at least one username and password for admin or user. Okay, so if you keep searching, you can find it. So no matter how meaningless this database names are, but you need to keep digging. And now I have found this, so I can use it against that website. But again, this is for educational purpose, I'm not going to use it. So also, don't use this kind of things. Just you can practice, and do not practice on any Indian websites, because cybercrime is very very strict in India also. So just hopefully you just use this knowledge for educational purpose. And thank you for watching. Hope you liked the session. And please subscribe our channel for more tutorial videos. So let's thank you.